Hello and welcome this evening to our Glasgow Loves EU live stream. And this evening we're talking to Claire McNally, an EU official working in the European Parliament in Brussels and originally from Glasgow, now living in Brussels. And we're going to be talking this evening about the importance of language skills and life in Brussels, amongst other things. And also joining us this evening, we've got Dee monitoring the social media questions, and please send in questions for Dee and she'll try and bring them to Claire's attention. And we've got Paul doing the technical aspects of the recording. So thank you for joining us, Claire, this evening.
Thank you for having me.
We're currently sweltering. It's, as they might say in Glasgow, taps off weather in Glasgow. It's 26 degrees here. How is it in Brussels?
I think it's probably a bit warmer than that, yeah.
Yeah.
They promised rain, but it never came, so
yeah,
it's very humid as well.
Oh, sounds good. So, Claire, you hit an anniversary, I think, of working in the European Parliament this year. Can you tell us a little bit about your anniversary and what has your job entailed over the years?
I've actually got 2 anniversaries this year. 30 years in Belgium and 25 years in the Parliament. I've been in the same service for all these 25 years in a press service, and my job's varied over the years. When I used to have MEPs, that they left the group in 2009, I was kept because they needed someone who could speak English and who could translate into French. So I did all the translations of the president's press releases and plenary speeches. And when I had MEPs, I would take them to interviews, I would proofread all their press releases and all that kind of thing. And now that there's not very many English-speaking people left, I pretty much proofread about everything that goes out to the press, to the media, Twitter, Facebook, all these kind of things, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're actually an employee of the Parliament, and is that correct? And, and you're just making sure that the press releases are
perfect English, yeah.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
do,
Great. And how did you end up in this career? How, you said you had a sort of a bit of an uncanny ability to learn languages.
I did, yes. When I started French when I was 11 in first year at school, like everyone else, I went to a lady in St Francis, more commonly known as Charlotte Street. And it
I actually taught there as a student.
You did you?
Yeah.
Oh, super. Even my grandmother and all my aunties went to Charlotte Street.
Oh, wow.
And I was one of the last pupils in 6th year before the school closed down. We all went to the High Court to fight against Archbishop winning to keep the school open, but it didn't work. Anyway, my French, I just took to it like a duck to water. It was second nature to me, and I loved it. And I have to raise my hand and say, when I did my O-levels, I didn't open one book and I got an A. So
wow.
Yeah, it just came naturally. I don't know why we don't have linguists in the family, so that was my luck. And that's what's carried me actually through my whole career, because I didn't get the chance to go to university, and I came here when I was 22. Had a bit of bad luck at home. My mum and dad lost their business, we lost our house, we lost everything, so we had literally nothing. I came here with £200 and my suitcase, and that was it. And I started off just a part-time job somewhere for 2 months, and 30 years later I'm still here. So I worked in the European Commission for 3 years, because I had I always thought the European institutions, that's a dream, that's for the elite, that's for really, really clever people or people who have got connections. So I didn't even try. And I knew a lot of English and Scottish and Irish girls that worked there, but I knew that my French was far, far better than theirs. And I thought, well, if they can do it, why can't I? And I literally phoned up the personnel department. I said, here's the deal, I'm an English speaker and I can speak fluent French. What do I have to do to get a contract? And she was all excited. Oh, madame, she says, could you come in and do some tests? And I did so, and it was just translation and stuff. And I walked out of there with a job that day for 3 years, 3-year contract. And then I did the competition for the Parliament, and I won it out of 250 candidates. And here I am.
Well done. You're
about to get another medal. About to get a medal.
So what's the medal for exactly? Was it
25
for 25 years?
I've already got one for 15 years, and I'll get one for 25 years as well. Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks.
You've had some memorable moments, maybe, and memorable characters. What have been some of the most memorable things that have happened?
Quite a few. Yeah, the most memorable, I think, was very funny. We were at a meeting in Edinburgh, because they do meetings all over the capitals, And this time it was Edinburgh. And David Trimble was there. He was the big guest there. And I was just, bringing guests in, making sure everyone was there. And when they were all in, I popped my head around the door and to say to my boss, I'm going to go. And one of the MEPs who was hosting David Trimble spotted me. And he's a big Northern Irish guy. And he shouts, Claire, Claire, over here. And I thought, oh, my God. And of course, he was a Protestant, knowing that I was a Catholic, and he took me in amongst all the entourage, so you can imagine what the banter was like. But it was very, very friendly, no harm done, and I gave as good as I got. But some other folk I've met, I met the Corrs, the Irish group, the Corrs. They came to Strasbourg at the very, very beginning of their career, and I was standing getting a photo with them, and the singer, she whispered to me, I've never done this kind of thing before. And now look at them. I've met Sir Alex Ferguson and John Barnes. They were both in Brussels for an anti-racism and football conference. And that was also Alex Ferguson, here's my accent, and he was having a go at me as well. And then probably the biggest face I've seen, I was standing in front of the lift to go for lunch or something. The doors open and out comes Richard Gere.
Wow.
And he's really small, I'm only 5'3". He wasn't that much bigger than me, but isn't that what you expect when you're going for your lunch, to see Richard Gere coming out the lift,
Oh, so brilliant career, sounds like it. Yeah.
I can't say it hasn't been good yet. I really enjoy it. I enjoy speaking languages. I speak it at home, speak languages at home, I speak languages at work. It's just my thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was I going to say next? Sorry, I've lost my page here. So as Brexit progressed, did things change? What happens?
Myself, like everyone else, didn't believe for a minute that it was going to happen. And I think I got up about 5 o'clock that morning, and when the results were coming in, I was absolutely knocked for six, couldn't believe it. And when I went into the office that morning, my head of service, he sent an email round with just one title in the subject, Bye Bye UK. And then they all started emailing. It was all fun and games and haha. And I was breaking my heart. I just sat in front of the screen. I was crying. And then afterwards, they said to me, we weren't being insensitive because we don't think of you as British or Scottish. You've just been here so long, you're just European. So I kind of forgave them. But no, people here just don't get it. They don't understand why on earth the UK did this to itself. And everyone that I know is convinced that we'll come back in at some point.
Yeah.
I think we will too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more and more support for it. The polls, every week there's another poll that says there's more and more people want to rejoin. So it won't happen tomorrow, but it will. And I don't know if you saw last week, Michel Barnier, remember he was the EU's chief Brexit negotiator. He did an interview last week and he said the doors open. We're waiting for you.
Yeah. No, that was quite hopeful, wasn't it? So have you been involved in a lot of the practicalities of sort of extracting the Britain, the laws or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. No. There's just that when you were talking about seeing people, I think I saw 2 weeks ago a Scottish SNP minister over here. So the Scottish government's still out here getting support. I suppose it's for if an independent Scotland could rejoin the EU. And I know that a good few months ago there were Scottish government representatives out here going around all the political groups getting their support. Because my colleague phoned me up and said, Claire, I'm going to see some Scottish government representatives. Do you know what they're going to ask me? So, no, I can't speak for the government, but I can imagine what they're going to ask. And I was right, it was independence and independent Scotland coming here. Questions of currency, what would Scotland use? Would they have to use the euro? And there's a lot of people say, we'd have to change to euro, but I don't think so. But anyway, that's a different question, isn't it? Independence.
Oh, right. So interesting what the discussions are, and
and there's also a UK EU Parliamentary Assembly, which meets regularly to keep up to speed with everything that's going on and to keep the relationship going, and hopefully that will lead towards a rejoin.
Right. Yeah. So do you know who's involved with that?
One of the Irish MEPs, Sean Kelly, he's involved in it. And then there's another MEP, he's actually German, but his father was Scottish. His name's David McAllister.
Oh, yes.
Did you have you heard of David McAllister?
Yeah, we've come
very
across
nice.
David McAllister.
Yeah. Well, he's very involved in it. So and they're all very positive. You know, it's not the UK, the EU. It's very, very positive. And as I say, Europe wants the UK back. Mm-hmm. It's a myth that they always say, oh, they'll never accept us. It's just not true.
That's good news. Yeah. Oh, that's good. And you came across yourself some of the practicalities of, I suppose, Brexit, trying to move across when you came back to Glasgow one of the times recently.
Yeah. Recently, when I was coming home in February, I thought I'll be a smart aleck and I'll use my British passport because I'm going to the UK. Easy peasy. Haha, was not. I got to the customs and I spoke to the officer in French because that's just my instinct. And he's looking at my passport and he's listening to me in French, and you could see that he was thinking, there's something not right here. So he said, are you going on holiday? I said, no, I'm going home. Okay, so you're resident there? I said, no, I'm resident here. Ah, you live here? Yes. How long have you lived here? I said, 30 years. He said, do you have a Belgian ID card? I said, yes, I do. Can I see it, please? So I gave him the Belgian ID card, and I had to explain to him that I've got Irish nationality on that card so that it remains an EU card and not a rest of the world card. So you've got Irish nationality as well? Yes. So you've got an Irish passport? And yes. Can I see it, please? So it's 3 different types of ID to go home. It was, it's not a huge problem. I'm not saying that. I can't say I've been badly treated, but I didn't expect that to go back to my own country, and on the way back, I had the same thing, and the customs officer said to me, look, in future, just use your Irish passport because the British one's just going to cause you nothing but hassle. Mm-hmm. It's a shame. Yeah. It really is
crazy,
a shame.
Isn't it? But
I felt weird. Yeah. I felt like an alien trying to get into my own country. That was a strange feeling. Really strange. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, thank goodness you've managed to find an Irish relative tracked down.
God bless my wee Nana.
Oh, and so jumping back to the Parliament, have you noticed any changes in the trends of the language being used, and are they moving away from English being used in the Parliament?
No, not at all. Even before Brexit, English was more prominent than French was. It used to always be French, but since the enlargement in 2004 to the eastern countries, their second language is English. So English is more prominent now. And you have the Irish and you have the Maltese also, and the Cypriots, they all use English. So English is not going anywhere.
Oh, well, that's interesting that the enlargement has led to more English use.
Yeah. They all got taught English as their second language.
Right. Because I thought they might make a point of sort of moving away from English deliberately.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Oh, that's good. And should we still encourage young people? We're hopefully going to maybe encourage folk this evening just hearing what languages can do, but should we be encouraging them to learn languages? Yes, you should.
Yeah. If it's your thing, if you're good at it and it's what you want to do, don't let Brexit put you off, because there's no, you wouldn't be able to work in the European institutions, so the European Parliament, European Commission, or the European Council, because they're not allowed. We were very, very lucky, I have to say. They kept all the British staff knowing that we didn't vote for this and didn't want anything to do with it. But on the other side of the coin, they need us too for our language skills, but they can't recruit any more British staff. But there are major companies here in Brussels. You've got Microsoft, Facebook, we've got Google, and I saw a vacancy today on Google for an English speaker. So there's nothing that can stop you. Okay, it might be a bit more paperwork, but there's no reason. If that's what you want to do, then do it. And I can give you an example of my own brother. He lives in Bavaria, and he lives in the region where they produce porcelain, what we would call China, in Glasgow. And he went there, he met his wife there when they did a student exchange when they were young, and he decided to go and live there. And where he lives is a really, really small place, and you'd never imagine it as a big international company there. And because he's English mother tongue and he speaks fluent German, he travels all over the world selling the crockery to hotels. He goes to the States, Dubai, Israel, India, he goes everywhere. That's because we're lucky enough to be English mother tongue. So don't let Brexit hold you back. For the institutions, you can't come here, but there's international law companies, all the big names I've said. Amazon has opened an office here in Brussels too, and actually a very good Scottish friend of mine works in Amazon.
Wow. Yeah. Good. I think you've described it, haven't you, as gold dust, having the English language to start with. So we've got a great language to start, and if we could just learn some others, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I think Dee's got a social media question. Do you want to come in, Dee?
Hi, yeah. I mean, we're talking about all these different languages, and I know a bit about Greece, and I know you're absolutely right. English is the language they learn first as their second language, if you see what I mean. Obviously, French and German, and Spanish as well. But so, kind of from your perspective, you're trilingual, I think that's correct in saying, yeah. Are any of those your favourites, or have you got any other languages that you picked up bits of that you really like?
Well, actually, French is my favourite. That's the one I know best, and that's the language I work in, and with English. But I picked up Flemish from the kids, my boys, because my husband is Flemish, and because basically when they were babies, I was in the same level. So I've picked it up as we go along, as I've gone along. And I think with the lockdown now, with us all being together, and when you hear it all the time, then you just you pick it. If you've got an ear for languages, you pick it up. But I can also, I speak Italian. I did Italian when I was at school, the same level as my French. But if you don't practice a language, we were saying earlier about IT, if you don't practice it, then you tend to forget it. But I know from experience, you put me in Italy for a fortnight, it just comes back. And I love Italian. That's my favourite, although it's the least one that I speak.
So do you watch? Oh, I've forgotten his name now. Salvo, the Italian detective.
Berlusconi. Oh no.
No. The one. Oh, I've forgotten his name. It's the TV thing on BBC Three, and everybody knows who he is, and I can't remember his name. Based in Sicily, and it's really good. And you think you understand Italian when you watch it.
Yeah. My mum's told me about that one, but we don't get it here.
We don't get it. Oh, that's a shame. Okay. Oh, thanks very much for that. Anyway.
No problem.
Cheers.
I think you said there was some story with Dick Cheney. Is that one of your ones?
Yeah,
another of your stories from work?
That was a bit of a pressure one. So back in the day when I was translating for the president of the group that I worked for, he was a Frenchman, lovely wee man. He was a farmer, but turned political, lovely man. But he could only speak French, couldn't speak anything else. And he was meeting with Dick Cheney in the American embassy at 3:00 in the afternoon. And his spokesman, my colleague, said to me, Claire, would you mind translating his speech for him? I said, no problem. It was 9 pages. Right, okay. This was 10:30 in the morning. I said, 3:00, no problem. Went for a coffee and came back, sat down, got ready. Then an email pings in, oh, Claire, I forgot to tell you, the American embassy wants to vet your translation before midday.
Oh my gosh.
And I did it. I pulled it off 9 pages in just under an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
another moment.
Stressful.
And so how does it work? Have you get appointed to work with a particular block of political parties or
when I did my competition, I have to say, because we always talk about people weren't very well educated for Brexit and everything, but I have to be perfectly honest, I didn't know much about the EU and the institutions before I came here either. And when I saw this competition, it just said they wanted a British English-speaking person to work in this group. And I didn't realise it was the Conservative group. So I was working for the Conservative. I didn't know that at the time, but anyway. They went in 2009, they went to a different group, and I really didn't want to go with them to that group. So I was lucky enough to stay. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought there.
Oh, I was just wondering how it actually worked. Do you jump around and just do different jobs for different parties, or do you get attached?
As I say, mine has been a bit special, my job, because of being the only English mother tongue left. I've been doing stuff for everyone. But you can also work in the administration of the Parliament itself. So you can be attached to a political group, or you can work in the administration. But to work in the administration, you have to do another exams, so they call the passerelle, which means you pass from the group into the administration. And I did that back in 2013, and it just guarantees your future. It's, you can't get lost. And without any MEPs and now without a country, it really was something that I needed to do back then. And I did it. So it means now that if I'm fed up where I am, I can apply for any job that I want in the Parliament. So it's they're very keen on mobility as well. And everyone's always keen if they can get an English mother tongue.
Yeah. Oh, well done. And so, like you were saying, yes, there's chances now. There are still chances out there for British people to work in Brussels, but working in the Parliament, I think, did you say, would that still be possible? Or?
No, it's not possible. They can't recruit. They can't recruit people who are not from a member state of the EU.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Oh well.
But I'm sure we'll be back.
Yeah. Hopefully. So you're saying there has been some talk. any sort of official talk in the Parliament, or has it just been sort of people saying things to
No,
newspapers?
well, lots of people chat about it, but as I
About
say,
the
they do
single
have,
market and
yeah, they do have this parliamentary partnership assembly with the EU and the UK. So it's MEPs meet with parliamentarians from the UK, and as I say, the Scottish, the SNP have been out here, and you know, so they're definitely keeping it on the back burner. They're not letting go, but they don't publicise it that much. You know, they don't send press releases and things, but they're still on it. You know.
Yeah. Oh, it's been very interesting talking. Dee, have you got any more questions that have come in for Claire?
There haven't been any particular, but I was thinking about when you're talking about us, the UK maybe being welcomed back in, but obviously the kind of the price would be that it would be on the EU's terms, not on the old terms we used to have, and that's for some people, even if they might think that they'd want to be back in the EU, they might not be prepared to accept that. So that's a bit of a difficulty, I guess.
Yeah, see, that's not something that they're going to openly talk about, but
No,
but that's my opinion as well. There won't be the Thatcher rebate that we had. There won't be all the opt-ins, opt-outs. It will be on the EU's terms, I think, and it's up to the UK whether they want to accept those terms or not. But the UK is welcome. I can tell you that from so many people that I talk to. Nobody's saying, "Oh, the Brits keep them out." Nobody. It's just not true when people say that.
Yeah,
they miss us.
Yeah. I think your children are very lucky because they're going to have all the options to go wherever, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I was going to say earlier on. If people are out there just now listening and they want to follow the languages, just do it, because if you are English speaking and you've got other language, you can do anything you want. You can take any direction, you can study something else, anything, and you can go anywhere. My oldest son, he's going to go to college after summer now, and he's going to follow communications, and he went to an open day recently, and the man said to him, trilingual. He said, it's an absolute dream for this course. He said, you can do anything, being trilingual in communications, anything you want. Yeah. It's definitely a gift, without a doubt.
Yes,
it's a gift.
yeah, but it's what it does to your brain growing up as bilingual or even trilingual. Sounds amazing. It does train your brain in different ways.
It does, yeah. So sometimes they translate literally from Flemish, and so sometimes the conversation gets a wee bit slower because they're translating from Flemish and saying it in English, and I'm translating back. Okay, what did he just say? So sometimes there's a bit of a pause.
Yeah, I imagine your dinner table is like a polyglot of
but
different words. They find the easiest word, don't they?
For us, it's totally normal. We don't even notice it. But I can tell you, when we go to Glasgow, we get some strange looks when we're standing in the Asda queue.
And it's brilliant. It's brilliant when they're young, isn't it? Because three of my nephews and nieces are half Greek, and when they used to come to England, and I used to make them speak Greek when we went on a bus or something, and people just couldn't believe these three little tots all speaking this really weird language. It's crazy.
My mum used to do that too with the boys when they were small. They'd go to the shop and she'd say, "Can you ask for this and ask for that?" And they would translate, and they'd say it in another language. It's incredible. It really is.
We need to do more languages. We should campaign on that.
Absolutely, really.
I think it's yeah. Oh, on you go.
Sorry, Jenny.
But I was just going to say, when we go to Glasgow, the boys, they've got a lovely Scottish accent, but they become more Glaswegian when they go to Glasgow. They can do the accent really well.
That's because they're mimics. Kids are just mimics. They watch so much different TV. I mean, I look after three kids, and the accents they come out with, they always take the mickey out of my accent, but they do great Australians and Americans and all sorts as well. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll shut up now because it's
Did you ever visit? I mean, you're saying you this uncanny talent, but did you actually visit abroad before, when you were at sort of primary school age?
Yeah, but when I was small, I went to Greece. I was only 7, I think, and I learned a few words then. And I remember even learning when I was 7. And then we would go to Spain often, so I had a few words here and there. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it interested me. It was natural for me.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because I was rubbish at everything else at school.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's good. That's good. I think you do have to visit, though. I mean, I certainly I've fanatically tried to learn French for 30 years now, but it was only after I visited France that I got that bug. I haven't got a talent, sadly. I have to keep trying.
But you know, I think as an adult, you're always scared to make the effort because you're scared you're going to make a mistake. Whereas kids don't have that; they don't care.
Yeah.
And I got to that stage. I don't care if I make a mistake because I've come to the conclusion: if somebody wants to understand you, they will understand you, and they'll help you. If they see you struggling with a word, they'll help you. And basically, quite frankly, if they don't want to understand me, then I don't want to talk to them anymore.
Yeah.
But just try, dare, just dare. As an adult, you've got to dare.
Yeah. Good thinking. Dee says there's a comment come in on social media. Do you want to just do that?
One is that, and it came to my mind, it's Montalbano, was I was trying to think
That's
of,
the
the
one,
Sicilian detective. And the other one says, sort of going back to what we were talking about a minute ago, there's been talk about vindictiveness towards the UK. I guess it's from the EU, but you say not on an official level, ? So is it something that we have a perception of, or
I think so, and probably the media gives you that perception as well, because as I say, there's nothing official about that. On the contrary, members of the European Parliament, they say we want you back, and I don't know anybody that's said to me, stay where you are, we don't want you back. I don't know anybody. Really, I don't.
That's good to know.
So we're not campaigning into a vacuum, because we've been campaigning since 2018.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. No. But as we said earlier, it will be on the EU's terms, and that's up to the UK to accept them or not. But I don't hear any of that. That's the British press making it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good. And has the EU, what are the big sort of, in the European Parliament, what are the big issues? I guess Ukraine is coming up a lot.
Ukraine is always on the menu, and at the moment, Poland and Hungary, their two leaders are going against everything that's EU values, and because Hungary is about to take up the rotating presidency of the EU Council, and they're now beginning to wonder, should they really be? Because, to be a member of the EU, you've got to uphold all the values that the EU has, and they're just not. So that's going to come up shortly. Whether it'll be in the British press or not, I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm saying that I've noticed that there's much more about the EU since we left in the British press than there ever was before. They report on everything, because I remember when things would happen in the Parliament, I would say to my mum, did you see this in the news? Never heard of it. And I can give you an example actually of very bad journalism. It was back in 2017 with the roaming regulation. Do you remember the roaming regulation, which meant that you wouldn't be getting massive charges when you went on holiday with your mobile phone? And it was Katja Adler, the BBC's Europe correspondent, and she was going on about the good things and the bad things with the EU. And she picked up her mobile phone and she said, they even have a say on your mobile phone. And I thought, yes, she's going to tell. And that was it, end of report. And I couldn't believe it. So people are left with the impression, oh, that EU, I'm going to have to pay more. She didn't tell the full story. And that's when I stopped trusting the BBC. Before, they were the Bible for me, but no more. No more. I was really disappointed. And that's the level of, that's what people were fed during the Brexit campaign.
Yeah.
Very unfair.
Yeah. I know. Because, I know. Even just personally, I must admit, I wasn't too phased after the Brexit vote. I know this sounds ridiculous because I've now been campaigning, but I honestly thought we would find some sort of middle ground, a sensible middle ground, almost type of thing, because people were sort of, equally split. If you don't discuss things, you can't sort them out. So
I think that everything that everyone said would go wrong has gone wrong, and people are starting to realise it now. And it's not too late. Come back.
Building bridges again.
Yeah.
Oh well, good. So you've certainly brought lots of things for us to think about, and it's been really interesting just hearing about the language skills and how there's still opportunities for British young people out there to try and have a sort of interesting career. So anything you'd like to add yourself, Claire, or anything we've missed?
I don't think we've missed anything, no. Just thanks for having me on. If I've been able to convince one person to follow their heart and go for their dream, then do it, because, I'm nobody special. I'm just a girl from the East End of Glasgow, and I chased my dream and I got it, If you want it badly enough, you can do it. Don't let Brexit put you off.
Yeah, yeah, good. A nice moment to stop. Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure talking
Thank
to you,
you.
Claire.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.